Joe was a therapist that saw lots of different patients with different problems, but little did he know that one of his patients would create a huge problem for him. Joe was having an affair with a lady called Lucy, but unluckily for Joe, one of his patients, Tom, spotted them kissing on the street one night. Joe was kicking himself how stupid he was, but his patient Tom would not give up on it. He knew he would not give up, ever, until he got what he wanted. He knew that was his MO. Joe worried about it a lot, until one session Joe had a plan. Tom had threatened Joe he would tell his wife about the affair, and Joe knew he wasn't kidding. But Joe came up with a plan that he knew would work. Joe said to Tom, "Okay, Tom, I know that I've been sitting here telling you for months about you having to control your urges, and I know that you have some crazy fantasies that would get most people locked up in prison, but I have an idea for you. I created a plan that you could live out one of your fantasies that you were always talking about. This fantasy, Tom, is what I'm talking about. This fantasy would get you locked up, and I mean locked up for a very long time. But what I'm getting at, Tom, is I can make this happen for you. I can make this fantasy become a reality with no repercussions." Tom gave Joe a curious look, wondering what he was about to say. Then he said, "What is this plan of yours, may I ask?" Joe took a breath and said, "Okay, well, I never gave into one of my wife's fantasies, for the simple fact I know this might sound hypocritical when I'm a cheater myself, but I would never want my wife to sleep with another man. However, it is one of her fantasies to a stranger walk into her bedroom in the middle of the night and have sex with her. Now, what I am offering you is that chance to you be that stranger to walk in and have sex with my wife. But only if you promise me you won't breathe a word of my affair to her, and don't ever breathe a word to her or anyone else." Tom sat back smiling, then said, "Now, I must say, that sounds like a plan." Joe and Tom spoke for another 15 minutes, organising to him call over tomorrow night. He gave his address and time. The next session Joe was feeling a lot better, as he knew Tom loved the plan, and he had promised not to tell his wife. Now that he is giving him the chance of having sex with her. Lisa was Joe's next patient. She was beaten by her husband for months before she finally had the opportunity to leave him. Joe asked how things were going. Lisa said, "I am so jumpy at everything. I can't even walk down the street without thinking my husband is following me. It's got so bad I sleep with a loaded gun." The next day Tom was happy about what was going to happen tonight. He smiled at the fact of him getting the chance to sleep with his therapist's wife. It all felt so exciting to him, a stranger walking into her room in the dark and having sex. That night he drove over to Joe's house. The door was open, and he walked up the stairs to the room where Joe told him his wife would be. It was exactly 1 a.m, and Joe told him he would be gone out for a walk. Tom walked up to the bed and could see Joe's wife lying there. He wondered, was she pretending to be asleep, or was she really? He kneeled down next to her, about to kiss her, when her eyes opened and she screamed. She reached for her gun and shot Tom in the head. Joe looked out from his car across the street, smiling, knowing that Tom will be no more problem to him, and he drove off proud of himself for giving Tom the address of his patient Lucy, who he knew had a gun, right there beside her bed. He smiled, wondering, did she not realize she tells him every single session about having a gun by her bed? He knew she would blow Tom's head off instantly once she knew a stranger was in her house. Joe drove home and snuck back into bed. He was hoping his wife wouldn't wake up. Luckily for him, she didn't. He didn't want to have to explain anything. He was looking forward to the morning to tell his darling wife how much he loved her.